Right, buddy, we're back again. We're talking the latest Manchester United news. Now we have an update on a shock Fede Valverde bid going in for 80 million apparently to Manchester United. We've also got some news on Zirzkee. We'll also be talking about sort of the reaction to the game against Crystal Palace yesterday. But I want to go through the latest United news and talk about Fede Valverde first. Um, Again, it's come as a shock. I mean, I didn't expect this sort of news to come out. It's come from the Mirror, who again aren't the most reliable source when it comes to Manchester United news, but they have said some interesting stuff on the Fede Valverde move. Manchester United are interested in Real Madrid midfielder Fede Valverde and eyeing up a shocking bid for around £80 million now, or €80 million, which I believe is about £71 million. Now, in terms of that, I mean, we know Fede Valverde is a good player. The club want to take advantage of the fact that Valverde has recently fallen out with Xabi Alonso. Now, for me, Valverde is one of the best midfielders at Real Madrid at the moment. I think he's a very, very good player. He's a very versatile player, and I think he does offer a lot to what Real Madrid are trying to do. I think you look at the quality in which he has, the way in which he maneuvers himself on the pitch. I think he certainly is an interesting midfielder. He's also at that age in which, again, I think he's 26, which again has a lot of experience in terms of playing at the highest level for Real Madrid in the Champions League. Obviously, €80 million is a lot of money. Obviously, doesn't have that element of European Premier League experience. Obviously, does have that European experience, which is obviously vital. Now, again, the price would be a biggest concern, but I think the midfielder market is definitely one to look out for. I've seen stuff about Edison of late. Fede Valverde is 27 years old. I've seen stuff about Edison from Atalanta of someone to look out for. I think he's definitely an interesting prospect. He has a lot of potential and is a very, very different player. I think if you look at Valverde, he is certainly an option to look at in terms of that quality in which you need. He's going to come in, be a guaranteed starter. He's got Champions League and European experience, which again we have Casemiro for. And does that mean if you bring in Valverde, you do kind of get rid of Casemiro as well? I think that's definitely something to look out for. But I think it'd probably be a dream move for Manchester United to get the player. Obviously, Real Madrid, they are having quite a few fallings out. I've seen that Vinicius Junior also wants to leave them after having a falling out with the manager at Real Madrid in Xabi Alonso. So it does depend on that. I think there are certainly some interesting things to look at from a Real Madrid perspective. I think it's going to cost a lot of money to kind of keep it to get rid of Fede Valverde. And again, he'd be on ridiculous wages. So he's definitely someone to keep an eye out for. Again, the reports aren't from the most reliable journalist in the Daily Mirror. So again, take that with a pinch of salt. But he's certainly a good midfielder option to look out for. Now, another one who's obviously been linked heavily to United is Elliot Anderson, and he's someone who United prefer at the moment. I think Elliot Anderson, for me, is a very, very technical, good player. And I think you look at what Manchester United need. We need prime experience, we need quality on the ball, and ultimately we need that anchor in midfield. And I think Elliot Anderson is certainly that sort of player. He's got quality on the ball. He's physically very, very good. He's still young and up and coming. He's got a lot of prem experience. Again, with a lot of the midfielders you're going to sign this year, the price is going to be a huge problem and a huge sort of question mark on whether you do actually go and sign him, because Fede Valverde, Anderson, Baleba, Wharton are all going to cost north of, I'd say, £75 million. Now, we know Elliot Anderson has that clause in his deal where he is able to leave Nottingham Forest or something substantially lower than what is the 100 million to 120 million that is being quoted in the media right now. I think if you look at what to expect from Elliot Anderson, he would be a quality player. And I think if you look at the stats metrics, you look at in the way in which he operates for Forest, he's operated in a plethora of positions. He's played deep in midfield, he's played in attack. He's looked very, very good for them. So I think he's definitely someone to kind of look out for in the Premier League at this current moment in terms of quality on the ball and what we need. Obviously, Conor Gallagher would cost around £26 million for Manchester United to sign in January. He's seen as an opportunity rather than a priority signing. And again, that's something that United will always look for in the January window. Look for opportunities, look for players to bring in. Does not mean we're necessarily going to go and guarantee sign a player. It's just about looking at opportunities and potential players that you can buy to help increase the load of the squad. Obviously, we know in Burmo, we know Ahmad are going to AFCON during the December January time. So, and also depends on injuries as well. But could Manchester United potentially bring in Conor Gallagher as an alternative option? Again, I think Conor Gallagher would be a perfect option for United in terms of experience. I don't know if he's the sort of profile that we need. I think we've got a lot of attacking depth in Cunha. You've got in Burmo. You've got Ahmad. Yes, they're going to AFCON, but when they come back, I think the quality in the attack is there. I think we need more deep lying playmaking midfielders who can cause problems in terms of progressing the ball. I mean, you look at Wharton's performance yesterday against Manchester United, that sort of player who can make the passes that he made to John Philip Mateta, which ultimately led to the penalty. If you look at Adam Wharton, overall defensive numbers as well, they're very, very good. So I think he's the sort of player, he's the sort of midfielder Manchester United definitely should look out for in terms of quality. Obviously, Conor Gallagher is a decent option as well to kind of look at in terms of cheap opportunity in January. He'd be a good option as well. He'd add to the team. He's got prime experience. Again, it would only probably be a loan move, which benefits both Manchester United and Conor Gallagher. He can get regular minutes, and again, probably does have personal ambitions of being in the World Cup squad for England. So he's another opportunity to look out for. In terms of other news as well, let me talk about the Joshua Zirzkee stuff now. Roma are pushing hard for Joshua Zirzkee, who is seen as the perfect high impact centre forward to fix the Roma goal scoring issues, along with the obligation to buy, is a likely structure to bring the Serie A proven forward back to Italy. For Gasperini, he is the ideal solution. Following the disappointing performance against Napoli, Roma manager Gasperini has intensified the demand for two major reinforcements in January to address the club's crisis, with the primary focus on two high-rated young forwards in Zirzkee and Tell. Roma see an opportunity to bring Zirzkee back to Italy, potentially on a loan deal, and Zirzkee is obviously considered as a good option. So, listen, Zirzkee I think is always interesting because, from a personal aspect, he wants to go to the World Cup with the Netherlands, and again, there's a lot of competition there. They've got players like Depay, they've got players, obviously like Zirzkee, Gakpo, Berghaus. They've got a lot of good players in that squad who again are all top talent. And Zirzkee, with him not playing for Manchester United, again, ain't going to help his chances of getting in the squad. Now, I do feel bad for Zirzkee. I think United bought him in £36 million. It was a big money move. He was coming to be the kind of back up to Højlund, but potentially get that first team spot. Then obviously he had a bit of a difficult start to his time at United, had received horrible kind of abuse and booze in that game against Newcastle, which we lost. But then the second half of the season, Højlund was struggling to find form, and it was Zirzkee, that player who was kind of seen to be the main player going forward. And I think you look at Zirzkee as a player who, again, he got a lot of potential. He's still a very young player. He's only had 2 seasons, or not even 2 complete seasons at United. And the first season was a bit turbulent. Now you look at how he started this season. It's not been great, let's be honest. Listen, he scored a good goal against Crystal Palace yesterday. It was a wicked finish. But again, in terms of the long term, is Zirzkee the sort of quality that you need going forward? I think Roma against Serie A would be a perfect league for him. And that was something that was always talked about in the last few weeks for him potentially to get minutes, but for him to also gain that little bit of confidence that he might need. I think the Italian league is the perfect league for him. Obviously, that's where United bought him from. That's where he showed a lot of prospect and a lot of hope in terms of when he was on the rise. Now, I think Zirzkee, there is a player there. I think if you look at the way in which he plays, he's a very, very good footballer. Technically, got a lot of quality as well. But again, you look at the downsides of his playmaking. Again, he's not really a traditional number 9. And he's someone who, again, is very, very good at probably playing off the strikers and playing deep. And Amram talked about his second half performance against Crystal Palace as one, which was very, very good. But I still think we can do better than Zirzkee, if we're being honest. And I think the quality is certainly not been there at the moment from Zirzkee. And I think a loan move, whether that is to Roma, whether that's to Napoli, whether that's any club in the Serie A, I think will be good for his development. But I still think he can, at best, probably become a squad player at Manchester United going forward. I think his ability is fantastic, and he does have a lot of quality. Now, in terms of the West Ham game, obviously we know that's coming up. It's a busy sort of schedule for Manchester United. We play West Ham on Thursday, then we go Wolves on Monday. There are some some, you would say, relatively straightforward games coming up for United. Obviously, as we've seen and as what's been proven by United, there is no game that is easy in the Premier League. Now, I think looking at this game against West Ham, Lucas Paqueta obviously received a red card in the game against Liverpool, so he will be missing against Manchester United. We'll preview that game tomorrow. But again, it's still West Ham are not an easy side to play against. They're quite hard to break down. Obviously, Nuno's slowly getting into the rhythm at West Ham. But again, I think that was something definitely to pick on. The fact that he's suspended, you will have to play someone else. But again, it should be a game Manchester United are winning. I mean, West Ham ain't that great. Another thing I want to talk about is Diego Leon. So Diego Leon is expected to go on loan to OG Nice in January. Ineos are using the connections. The UEFA multi-club ownership transfer will end in September 2025. Understand that the 18-year-old is expected to be involved in their first team. Now, obviously, Diego Leon was someone who was signed by Manchester United with big hopes, big intention. I still think he can go on to be a top player. Obviously, he came to Manchester United from Cerro Porteño in Paraguay. And again, he's had good opportunities. I think he had quite a few opportunities in pre-season. I believe he started quite a few of the games there. And I think he did look all right. Obviously, he's impressed with the under 18s, but I think for him to get that real first team playing experience in a decent league as well, which is the French league, will be good for his development. And we know that Ineos are very good at bringing in these sort of younger players. We brought in a Roscoe now as well. We obviously got I forget his name, but there's a player on loan in one of the clubs in the French league. So again, it's all about bringing these young players in. I think Sekou Kone is expected to go on loan as well. So I think that's always very, very good to bring in those sorts of players. But also, it's good for their development to get some first team football. And I think that will be something that's very beneficial to someone like Diego Leon, who, again, listen, I think he can become a top player. And again, the left wing back is kind of an issue for Manchester United at the moment. We are really struggling with wing backs at this current time. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what does happen there. I think he certainly is a very, very good player and with a lot of potential, a lot of improvement needed, however. But I think he definitely can go on to be one of the best. And I think the low move is good. He gets regular minutes. He gets a chance to prove himself in the top leagues. But I think the left wing back spot is definitely up for grabs. I think there's more is more open than the right wing back position. I think if you look at who's playing at right back for United at this, or right wing back, you got Ahmad. Left wing back, Dorgu hasn't been great. I still think he's a decent player as well. At only 20, there's a lot of development in terms of getting more regular minutes, improving his output, making sure he's having more deliveries in the final third, improving defensively. Obviously, you got Dallo there, who Amorim prefers at the moment to play there. He's played in a lot of the big games, Arsenal. I believe he played there against Liverpool. Obviously, Crystal Palace is a big game. He played there as well. So Dallo seems like he is the one being trusted at the moment. It's just that I don't rate Dallo. I don't think he's good enough long term for Manchester United. I think at best he's kind of similar to Zirzkee. He can become a squad player. But I think when you've invested £40 million into a left wing back, the fact that Amorim's not playing him, it's kind of really eye-opening to probably what he thinks of Patrick Dorgu at the moment. And again, I think the only way you can improve is if you play more and you get used to the teammates. He hasn't really been able to build a connection with Cunha down that side. Where if you look at Ahmad and Mbeumo, they are starting to build something. They're looking very, very calm and composed on the ball. They have a decent understanding. I think at times against Palace, it was a bit they were getting in each other's way, but I think that relationship has been built. Obviously, Dorgu's had a lot of different number nine left end. He's had Bruno there at times. He's had Cunha there for bits. Mason Mount played there. Dorgu hasn't really started many games. So, in terms of the left wing back position, I think it's definitely a position we need to improve. Could now with Lisandro Martinez being back, which is a huge boost. Could you see Luke Shaw go out to left wing back? I think Shaw's been someone who's looked very, very good this season in terms of consistently putting in decent performances. Again, he's had a few shaky ones in there, but as a whole and as a collective, the fact that Luke Shaw is playing these regular minutes is always a boost for him. Personally, again, he probably wants to go to the World Cup, which again makes sense for why in which his performances have been so good. But yeah, on Diego Leon, he's expected to go on loan to Nice in January. Obviously, Ineos own Nice as well. So again, there are connections there now. Obviously, on Semenyo now, United went from last summer, but the deal timed out. The word for Bournemouth was that they wanted £70 million. My understanding of this was that there weren't many buyers at that price, so the deal timed out for United. He's absolutely someone that Manchester United would be interested in the signing to play for the team and to improve the team. Now we know Semenyo is a world class player. Obviously he's had a wicked start for this season at Bournemouth, and again he's at the right age now. Semenyo will have a lot of suitors from the Premier League. I think I've seen Tottenham, they were heavily linked last summer. Liverpool as a potential replacement to Salah. Obviously Manchester United. But I think the one thing in which Manchester United fans are saying at the moment is, where would Semenyo play? I mean, you spend probably 70, 80 million pounds on him. He's going to have to be someone that starts in the team. And now whether that's you bring him in to play left wing back, which I just don't think would make any sense. I mean, if you look at his average positions, he is someone who does play quite deep on the left hand side for Bournemouth. So maybe the left wing back wouldn't be the worst position for him. But again, do we really need that sort of? I get why you would go for him. You need attacking output. You need someone with Premier League ability down that side, and you do need a bit more quality there because Dorgu hasn't really been that great last season. But again, we missed out last summer due to the 70 million price, but he's clearly someone who I think will add quality to this Manchester United team, which again, as I said, is something that we need. Again, I'm not going to be opposed to signing Semenyo, but I think there are other priorities in which Manchester United need to invest in this summer. For example, the midfield. I think the midfield is a position that we've been needing to strengthen for a couple of years now. Casemiro, Ugarte as deep line playmakers ain't great. Bruno could potentially be on his way to Saudi. We've got Mainoo there. Again, his minutes are not guaranteed. And he's someone who doesn't seem to be rated by Ruben Amorim at the moment, which don't make any sense. So I think the two in midfield is definitely a position which United need to strengthen. And I talked about Anderson, talked about Wharton and Baleba and potentially Valverde and others as an option to bring in that midfield. So again, I certainly do think there are options there in the midfield that we can sort of bring in and utilise. But Semenyo, again, he's definitely someone to look out for in the summer window. He will have a lot of suitors. I think that just comes with the nature of player that he is. But he's definitely someone to kind of keep an eye on at the moment. Now, this is what Lisandro Martinez, as I said, he's returned for Manchester United yesterday against Crystal Palace, and it's great to see him. For the last few moments, I will talk about him and kind of what to expect now. It's been a long time without being able to do what I love most. What a better way to return in the court than with such a crucial victory. There were months of suffering, uncertainty, anguish, imbalance with a lack of energy nearly got the better of me. But I was lucky to have my family, friends, teammates, fans, the club and the national team to recharge my heart. Simply thank you all. And I think if you look at Martinez again, it's been very frustrating in terms of his time at United. I think he's had good moments, he's had bad moments, but I think now is a real opportunity to kick on for Martinez. I think he's a sort of player in which you need at Manchester United right now. I think Shaw, he's done great, he's done fantastic to fill in that left centre back position. But you look at what Martinez adds: quality on the ball, progressive passes, which again is something that we missed. If you look at the game against Everton, and a lot of the Manchester United games this season, is very frustrating not having, especially when you play three defenders, one of the defenders to progress the ball through midfield. And I think Martinez is good at doing that. And I think that left centre back position is one that's made for him. Now, Amorim was asked about potentially playing him in midfield, which again I don't think would be anything that makes sense. I mean, Martinez's assets is his physicality, his aggression, and that mainly comes from being in that centre back position. Now, again, Martinez for me goes straight into this Manchester United team if he's fit. I think he complements De Ligt and Euro very, very well, and I think his whole impact on the team is very, very good. He sort of motivates others. He's a very, very good defender. And I think his quality on the ball is very, very underrated. If you watch sort of Martinez's best games in the United shirt, is when he is kind of making progressive passes, he's being aggressive. And again, as a back three, just say it is De Ligt, Euro, and Martinez. You can have De Ligt, who is more of the deeper back three, and then we need a Euro and a Martinez in this case to push up and progress the ball, because it creates more avenues, but also gives you more opportunities. And I think Euro, it was very frustrating to see him against Everton, the way in which he just weren't reluctant to kind of carry the ball. Obviously, he's still a young kid. Shaw as well, I just don't think that's one of his biggest assets. So, yeah, I think having Martinez back is fantastic. I think he's a very, very good good player, and I think his assets to the team are fantastic in terms of going forward for what Manchester United need. I think having a player like Martinez in the team is is very, very good. Just what I'm seeing here actually at the moment. Brian and Burma has been selected for Cameroon for AFCON, and Andre Onana has been left out. So I guess Burma won't be coming back early then. Again, it's certainly very interesting to see the fact that he's not there. The fact that he's not there with Cameroon. Again, I think they've took four goalkeepers and Andre Onana's missed out. I don't know how that's kind of happened. But again, it does show Onana's performances have not been great, and I think again I haven't heard too much since. To be fair, since he's gone on loan to Trabzonspor in Turkey, which again I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Is he having good performances? I've seen he got an assist in one of the games, but that was really about it. But I think if we look at Onana, he's just not a great keeper, is he? And the fact that he's not been selected, it probably will be quite a shock to him personally, in terms of what his personal ambitions are. We know he's a great character, but yeah, I don't think he probably will be affected by it, to be honest. Now, Mateus Cunha has posted on Instagram that he's back, which again is very, very good. I think we've missed his quality in this team of recent. I think his ambition, his quality on the ball, his physicality, and especially not having him and Sesko in the team, we've kind of missed it. We've kind of missed him in that team because his quality on the ball is elite, and I think what he brings to the overall team, and I think the creativity in which he adds, I think it'd be great to have him back against West Ham. I think it's a perfect game for him to show what we've seen so far. Really, that the fact that he has a very, very good quality on the ball and he's very, very ambitious. But yeah, I think it's very, very good. We've missed him in the last two games. I think Everton was particularly poor, and I think you really kind of you will see his presence on the team when he comes back. I mean, when you do spend 200 million on an attack, you do kind of expect. We don't expect them to be available every game. I mean, injuries are part of football, but you can obviously see the absence of Cunha when he's not in the team, and I think that's massive to see. But quickly looking ahead, I'll give you a quick kind of little preview for the game on Thursday against West Ham. What would the team that I'd go for? I mean, I would have quite a few changes to not to personnel, but just to the team that played. Obviously, Le Mans will remain in goal. I think that's also something that makes sense. You're not going to change a goalkeeper. In terms of the back three, I'd go for I'd go for Delete, Martinez, and Maswari now. Again, it's very sort of 50-50 if Martinez does start. Do I think he will? Probably not. Do I want him to? Absolutely, yes, 100%. But I think it will be Shaw, Delete, and Maswari. I mean, Euro looked very frustrated when he came off in the game against Palace, which I did feel bad for him. He did give away a penalty, but he's still a young kid and will learn from these mistakes. Obviously, Shaw, someone for me who, again, I just think he's been a good fielding player for Martinez while he's been out, but I think he put Martinez in the team. Then you keep Delete in the middle. Obviously, Ahmad and Dallo will probably be your wing backs, Casemiro and Bruno, and then Burmo, Cunha, and I think you go Mount through the middle. I mean, Zirzkee probably does deserve to start based on his performance against Palace. So I'm going to put him in instead of. He can't drop Mount either. I mean, I think one of them's going to drop to the bench. If I had to pick one, it probably would be Zirzkee. I think you would see Mount keep his position in the team, and Zirzkee potentially drop to the bench. However, you could see those from free start, and then you bring Cunha on later on in the game to kind of have an impact later on. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Obviously, that preview will be coming out tomorrow. We'll be looking ahead to that game. Obviously, West Ham in 17th at the moment, 11 points from possible 39. So they've not been great and all, so we'll kind of be looking at that, what to expect from that game, looking at their team, and what their threats are if they do have any, which I think they kind of do. And yeah, we'll be going through that. But that has been your latest update. Fede Valverde potentially to Manchester United is something to keep an eye on. Do I think anything will happen? Probably not. But again, it's been a story that's been reported in the last 24 hours. Zirzkee could potentially be on his way to Roma. So again, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. He's certainly an interesting player to look out for in terms of his exit this summer or in potentially January. West Ham preview coming tomorrow. And yeah, we've got some other things as well planned, but let's see what does happen. That has been your latest news.